So you're very welcome to snowy Iceland, to Vestmannaeyjar. This is Heimir, which is the hometown of Heimir Hallgrímsson, the manager of Ireland, who we know that he comes from Iceland, and we know that Iceland is a remote country in Europe, but we maybe didn't know that he came from such a remote part of Iceland. They've actually had a good winter here. The locals here tell us that they've had a nice winter, and the snow has waited until March, until the month of Ireland's World Cup player, to come around and sort of bake the place where he lives in a sort of a satisfying white coat. This is a place with only 4,000 inhabitants. It's a community, and I think over the years, when Heimir has been Ireland manager, we've heard a lot about the place where he grew up, and we have this image of this small place in the shadow of a volcano that overflowed in 1973 and covered the town with lava, and it paints a sort of a quaint picture of where he started his life and where he still spends all of his spare time. So we wanted to come here and to see the place and to meet the people, but our journey started in Reykjavík. So to get to Vestmannaeyjar, you have to get the ferry. And I did speak to some contacts I met out in Iceland before who said that there are two ferry options. There is one which involves a 3-hour drive and a 40-minute ferry, which is generally the favoured route in good conditions. But if it's bad conditions, it's a 40-minute drive and a 3-hour ferry. And that's what we're doing today. The weather, it's actually mild enough at the moment, but it's meant to get a little bit worse. And the advice was get your seasickness tablets because it could get a little bit bumpy. We came to Puffin, which is a lovely drive through the sort of snow-covered mountains on the outskirts of Reykjavík. Very scenic weather to get to the port for this 3-hour trip, which if you're a local, if you're a Heimir, this is your commute. Every time he comes to Reykjavík, this would be the passage at this time of year. He was meant to come in December to see Shamrock Rovers play Breidablik, and we were told the weather conditions made it impossible. Maybe part of you thinks, does that sound like a little bit of an excuse? Having been here now, you can understand. I think later in the week there's an orange weather warning, and you will not be travelling if you come here later in the week. Now, the Westman Islands has an undeniable Irish angle, because the first journey made by Irish people to Vestmannaeyjar, or the Westman Islands, was in the 9th century. They didn't have that name then, it was uninhabited land. And what happened was Irish slaves were brought to the Norse settlers who came to Iceland, brought Irish slaves with them. And this Irish group decided to murder their slave master, which was a slightly unpopular move because he was the blood brother of Ingolfur Arnarsson, effectively known as the first Icelander. Naturally enough, he wasn't too happy about this. The Irish slaves fled to these islands off the south coast. He was able to track them down, and in short, he murdered them all with some help, and decided to name this land the Westman Islands because the Irish slaves were known as the Westmen by the Norse overlords who took them here. So where Heimir grew up, he did not realise that maybe one day he would be coming to Ireland, making the reverse journey to I guess the forefathers who had a short-lived stay there. Heimir's football journey started here. This is the home of IBV. It's one of the top teams in Iceland. As you can see, it's a sort of a stunning venue. I mean, you can get done for ball watching. I think here you can get done for mountain watching. You just can't avoid just getting caught up in the backdrop. But for Heimir, yeah, I mean, this is a club. I mean, the facilities are exceptionally good inside, and it has evolved over the years from when he started. But he started here as a player, enjoyed good success here as a player. Then he managed the IBV women's team, and he moved on from there to manage the IBV men's team. And it was his work there that led him to getting the chance to work with the Icelandic FA and to manage his country. Now we're here today to meet his friend John Ole Danielsson. He is the manager of the women's side at the moment, and we're reliably informed that him and Heimir own a speedboat together, which seems to be a very typical endeavour, a pursuit here on the island. So we're going to chat to John Ole about the man that he knows. When did you know Heimir was going to be a very good coach? Because I think you said he was a player and you played alongside each other, but when did you know Heimir as a coach could see the game?
That was just very early, maybe when he was 18 years old, then because he started to coach the youngest ones very early, probably 16-year-old, 15 years old, and 18-year-old up to 20, you could see that he had this deep understanding into football, and tactical-wise he was many steps ahead, and you had the feeling when we were training in the first team that his understanding in tactic were much more and better than the coach had. Yeah, from here he became the assistant coach with Lars Lagerbäck, and I remember, I think it was after the first game they played against Norway. I think I'm right, in an interview after the game with Lars Lagerbäck, Lars said, "This guy should take over after my days."
Really?
This guy is great. Everybody loves him, especially because what kind of person he is. He just have a he's very beautiful hearted. He likes to help people, and he is helping a lot of people. He always have time for everybody, and I believe that's one of the reasons everybody likes to walk with him. Icelandic people are crazy about English football, has always been like that. But yes, we love the Irish national team today, and we would always walk with them instead of the English if they were playing.
Yeah. When Heimir comes home, though, and I know we've said this, like he doesn't sort of go around the place sort of thinking like he's better than people, or like he's very much one of the people when he comes home.
No, that's not how he was raised, and he was raised to respect all people. Nobody is better than the guy next to you. No, he is with both his feet on the ground, and when he is at the island, he tries to help out. He walks on the mountain. During the summertime, he goes out on our Zodiac. And of course, he also finds time to work as a dentist.
Yeah, yeah. Now we've made it to downtown Heimir. We spoke to some people in Iceland and said, who do you actually look up when you're here? Where do you start? And we were pointed in the direction of this restaurant here, the Einzi Kaldi restaurant, where the chef is Einar Bjorn Arnesen, who just happened to be the chef for the Icelandic team at the European Championships in 2016. Now, being an island where, as the saying goes, everyone knows everyone, he met his wife when she was working as an assistant in Heimir's dental clinic, and his father-in-law is also Heimir's brother. So we were told that this would be a good place to start to get a feel for Vestmannaeyjar. And I will say, I mean, this is a fine dining restaurant. They've had the president of Iceland sort of eating here, and it's all the best stuff. You know, it's highly recommended. Yet also Einar, part of his daily life, he starts every day cooking 800 meals. That's for all of the children on the island. That's all the school meals. So from kindergartens up to sort of junior school and high school. In addition to sort of, you know, hosting the great and the good when they come here in the evening time, he starts his day cooking for everyone on the island. And he's someone I think was a good start point to get a feel for Vestmannaeyjar and for Heimir's story.
If I have to describe Heimir, Heimir is a really kind person. He's not just a kind person, he's also really, really good manager. Because he focuses on football every day. That's Heimir. I knew Heimir, of course I knew Heimir's family since I was a really young guy. But I know Heimir first when Heimir was playing football for IBF. And I was also playing football, but I was much younger than Heimir. So I think I remember Heimir when he was playing and I was watching the game, or the game of course, and I maybe thought I want to be as good as Heimir. When I was growing up, my girlfriend, when I was younger I was meeting a young lady. She was assistant at Heimir's company. Heimir was dentist. And this young lady, her father was brother of Heimir. So now we are in the same family. Heimir's family is a really unique family here in Vestmannaeyjar. Heimir's mom was always doing something in the kitchen, baking, and she loved to have all the family together, like over Christmas, and it was really good time. And then Heimir's father, Hallgrímsson, is a unique guy. He was always telling a story, laughing. He was kind with kids, and that guy, I really miss that guy. He was unbelievable, impressed guy. The family have the house there, and over summertime here before, they were maybe getting together, the brothers and with her father at the cliff and catching a puffin and do something together. And Grímur, the old guy, his father, he was the boss. He was a boss of the cliff. So yeah, you always loved the guy. I think everybody loved Grímur, Heimir's father. Every people loved the guy because he was so kind guy. I think every people at the island was watching what Heimir was doing. And people watching football here in Ireland, they know Heimir will do something special things. I think Heimir deserve. Heimir was deserved the job. The reason I was in chef for the national team was obviously Heimir, because Heimir probably chose me. He trusts me and he know me and give me a good chance. I love to work with the national team and Heimir and Lars, everybody. That was really nice time. After the group, all my menu was finished, or everything was finished. So I have to make plan B, and after the group I make plan B for 1 week more. I have to buy all the ingredients, I have to start making a new menu for the team and do new things in the kitchen. And after we beat England, I knew, okay, 1 week more, so it was really hard. It was a lot of job, and no, we loved it to be together as a group.
Because I showed you the photo earlier of when you came back to the Vestmannaeyjar after. Like that must have been a special thing to be coming home as heroes almost to people.
Yeah, I've never been so popular in my life when I came home, because I have never been like as popular when I come home after European Cup, because everybody in the town, in the store, was like, "Hey, congratulations!" I was just chef. I was not playing. But it was so nice. Everybody from the island was watching what team was doing and what Heimir was doing with the team.
Yeah.
And when I was going to sleep at night, my phone never stopped. Everybody sending me messages, ding, 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 great.
Because Einar is a part of the family, he knows the family. He spoke to us about how Heimir is the youngest of the 5 kids in his family. 4 brothers live on the island, his sister lives near Reykjavík. And then he explained a little bit more to us about that house on the cliff that was mentioned. I didn't quite follow it at first, but that house is the base for the club that is called the Puffin Catchers of Isti. Grimmer's day job was repairing fishing nets, but the passion was his central role in the Puffin Catchers Club. Puffin meat is popular in Iceland, although the hunting of them is now seriously regulated. But the club lives on, and Einar told us that the senior members, which is basically the Halgrimssons, meet almost every day at Grimmer's old clubhouse. He made a call and asked if we could join them the following morning. His father-in-law, also named Einar, was more than happy to help. Apparently, he loves nothing more than speaking about his youngest brother. He's wearing a Jamaica top underneath his jumper. Thordr, the eldest brother, the original footballer in the family, he wasn't around, but we also met Halldór. He's the closest brother in age to Heimir and their friend and cousin Sigtr. We heard a lot about the club and Heimir's role in it. A few years back, a beloved member of their crew, Olafur, passed away after a tragic accident while he was chasing a sheep. Heimir bought his stake of the clubhouse to ensure that it remained within their inner circle. The real conversations happen in the back room of a building that's littered with old boats and various gear belonging to the family. When Heimir is on the island, he's a regular in their coffee club.
He's not teething. Then he comes here, maybe 3 times a week or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Just to talk and chat about
nothing else.
Whatever.
Yes.
English football or what do you talk about?
Everything else.
Everything else.
We don't talk about football.
Politics or
More, yes, maybe.
Yeah. That's nice to have that. But I think what everyone has said to me about Heimir is that even though he is a very famous person in Iceland now, and like I've met people in the Icelandic newspapers who say stories about Heimir are like top of the most read, but when he comes home here, he doesn't shout around. Like, it's not like he's going around in a Ferrari or something or whatever. Like he's not.
You just say hi.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let the other people in.
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of kid was Heimir growing up? Was he quiet or was he?
We don't know. He was just a kid, and we were married to some girls and gone away.
Because he was the baby, yeah, of course,
Yes, he was the baby.
Yeah.
He was many years alone with our parents.
Yeah. So be very close to your parents because of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he came here on the first champion, there's a very good picture of our father and mother getting him to the airport and the trophy.
Was this with IBV? Was it or?
Yeah. 20 years ago, he phoned me and I'm in a band. The IBV guys, the football players, they made a new song for IPV, and I'm gonna be the drummer. Teach me to drum because I'm going to TV tomorrow. Never played drum, so I had to teach him to play that song, and you can see it on YouTube.
Oh, really? Yeah, that video is actually from 1996 and looks to be from an Icelandic version of Kenny Live. Einar is the musician in the family, but apparently Grimmer and his 4 sons used to perform together and were known locally as the Grimson Five. No recordings of that, unfortunately. So it's time for us to leave Vestmannaeyjar now. We're going to get the ferry back to the mainland, as they say. We've had around 24 hours or so here, different types of weather, snow, we've had rain, the sun seems to have come out, so maybe we'll have a calmer journey back, but yeah, we've enjoyed it. There's a real sense of pride in Heimir. I think that obviously comes across, but there's that real sense of community, the shared story. Everyone we meet has a Heimir story. They hear our accents. The amount of people that have heard an Irish accent and they've sort of sidled up to us and like, oh, why are you here? Heimir, they have stories about Heimir. We met Alan, who's an English man who lives here. I think he moved here 40 years ago. He said he wanted to have a word with Heimir. But it was purely to do with dental reasons, that his regular dentist has retired and he needs Heimir to come back. Unfortunately, the dental clinic is not open at the moment because Heimir's not here, but we are told that when he comes back to these parts, the queue is around the corner. And it's just people who want to come and have a chat with Heimir as much as actually needing to have their teeth fixed. But there was a surprise for them initially. Even his brothers were telling us when he left the island first to go to Reykjavík, he had to go and train to learn a little bit about dentistry. But obviously later in his life, he went there with football. I should say, like when we were leaving and we were saying goodbye to Heimir's brothers, they spoke about 1973. They spoke about being woken up in the middle of the night by the news that the volcano that Elfell was about to overflow, and Einar told a sort of very, I suppose, poignant story of they went up to a sort of an elevated place to watch the start of it, and then they all left. They all had to come down to the harbour here to leave by boat, and in some cases they didn't come back for years. In some cases it was months, but they were able to rebuild their life here, rebuild a very proud community that's very proud of Heimir, who so many times has made the journey that we're about to make now, which is to go back to Reykjavík, where he was the manager of the national team. And I suppose his achievements there probably elevated the story of his life in Vestmannaeyjar to another level. So we're going to go back there and maybe speak to some of the fans, some of the people that he touched during his time as Iceland national team manager. So we went to visit Ulver, a sports bar within walking distance of Iceland's national stadium. There's pictures of Eric Cantona and Stan Collymore visiting here just inside the entrance, which might be a little bit surprising because it looks, kind of unremarkable from the outside. But that's because one of the charming parts of Iceland's rise under Heimir was the fact that in the hours before the game, the manager would come to this pub, the meeting point for the Tolfan, the official Iceland supporters club, and let fans know the team and the tactics for later that evening. We met Sven, who was a big part of making it all happen.
It starts with a phone call. Yeah, it generally started with a phone call from I think it was Lars, who called the supporters and asked to meet us and wanted to get us back into the stands and yeah, Heimir said, if I show up to your place, will you show up to my place? So we showed up, and he shows up here. Let's show it up here. Icelandic supporters are quite strange because we only show up when things are going great, and we don't show up. We show up when things are going great, and don't show up when things are going quite bad. So that's the best way how to describe the Icelandic fans. I think at that time, for us, for instance, we kind of thought that we felt that we were part of the team. I mean, the supporters club is called Tolvan, which is the 12th man. And so we were basically, Heimir was telling us, you are the 12th man, we need you guys. So, and he was quite adamant to get us back into the stands, and he showed up here for every match that he was when he was working as an assistant coach or head coach, to get us, to keep us happy and having a good time with us as well. This is a small room back over there, so I'll show you.
Yeah.
and I think it went on for there like 2-3 matches. Then word started getting around, and people started showing up, more and more people. So we eventually ended up in the big room over there, where things could get quite crazy with, because we had to lock the doors and stuff like that. And if you were outside getting a beer and missed the final call, and you weren't allowed in.
And what would he actually say? Like, what did he do in the room?
So I mean, he was showing us clips of the opponents, how they were going to play and how we were going to play against them. And at the end of every meeting, we saw a motivational video that I think he showed to the players as well.
But there was obviously a trust involved.
You have to have trust. Yeah.
Because people would imagine, like, so he's telling you the team around the same time, maybe before anyone else. Like, that was part of it.
Yeah. I mean, this was just a trust that that he showed us, and we had to show him the trust as well. So it didn't get broken. For all it's just crazy that it went on for that amount of time, that nothing leaked. Nothing. So Stan Collymore was here doing a segment about the Icelandic team, and I think Heimir, and he asked if he was allowed to witness this, and we had to go to Heimir and ask him, and he said, well, okay, for this time only, yes.
But you had to give a message about phones, maybe, or...
Yeah, I mean, we always do that, ask people to keep the phones away, and Stan Collymore was quite active on Twitter at that time, and I told him that if I saw him with his phone up in his hand, I was going to take his phone and shove it down the toilet and flush it. So it was a crazy time. Yeah. Coach from a small island right next to Iceland. He's from Westman Islands. He's like people say, he's a dentist. No, he's a football coach. Yes, his job as well as every other coach here in Iceland. He had a job here as well. So. Coaching football was an extracurricular, basically. Yeah. And having him now he's been coaching Iceland, and he coached Jamaica. He was in I think Qatar. He was in Qatar.
Yes.
And now for Ireland. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I think I know that people in Iceland have been following.
Yeah, of course. He's one of the national gems for us Iceland, because. As you said, he qualified us for the World Cup, so he's always going to be one of the greatest in the football history of Iceland.
Any of the locals who drive past Einar's house always know when there's a game on. There's a Jamaican flag packed away in there somewhere. I don't think he sorted out a Qatari one when Heimir was there, although his son-in-law did try and spell the club's name out in a candle display overlooking Heimir after a big win. Not the wisest plan in the windiest part of Iceland. But since September 2024, the Irish flag has been getting plenty of use, and it'll be out again next week for the playoffs. Heimir's new contract means Einar should get a few more years out of it. But long term, he knows where his little brother will be. They need him on the island.
I always go and make the flag.
Put the flag out.
Put the flag up.
Yeah. So Jarl must be very proud.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But when will he come back? I don't know. We need a dentist here.